Welcome to Monaco Mindset. This is a channel where we explore the world's most exclusive lifestyles, the psychology of success, wealth creation, luxury living, and really the habits that separate the extraordinary from the ordinary.
Right, exactly. And if you're passionate about entrepreneurship, investing, financial freedom, and just wrapping your head around the mindset of the ultra-successful, well, you're definitely in the right place. We really dive deep into how global wealth actually operates.
Yeah, we do. So please take a second to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us bring you these deep dives.
For sure. But for now, let's just jump right into the main discussion.
Welcome to the debate. If you picture a traditional medieval castle, the mechanisms of exclusivity are they're incredibly obvious.
Right? Thick stone walls, the deep moat.
Exactly. The heavy iron drawbridge. It's visible, undeniable, and entirely static. And for centuries, extreme wealth looked exactly like that. You built a massive estate, you filled it with precious objects, and you stayed inside.
Yeah. But today, that drawbridge is basically gone. The walls have vanished, and the castle itself is entirely invisible.
It really is. So today, we are examining a fundamental shift in how the global elite define and spend their wealth in 2026. We are exploring a phenomenon that data calls the billionaire's new border.
Which is all about mobility, purpose, and the transformation economy.
Right. And the core question we have to grapple with today is whether this shift is an actual evolution of human values or, just much better camouflage. Is this current pivot away from conspicuous consumption toward hypermobility, wellness, and so-called regenerative living a genuine evolution?
Or is it simply a more sophisticated, invisible fortress of exclusivity designed to insulate the ultra-rich from the rest of the world?
To unpack this, we're drawing on a wealth of current source material. We're looking at the latest Knight Frank Wealth Report, comprehensive luxury market analysis out of Wharton, and some incredibly granular data.
Yeah, the data from talent gurus on the actual day-to-day household structures of ultra-high net worth individuals.
Exactly. I will be arguing that this data points to a meaningful, optimistic shift. Basically, a move from accumulation to actualization, where true value is finally found in purpose, health, and regenerative impact.
And I will be arguing that this is merely an evolution of status signaling. It's an exclusivity paradox, where the elite replace physical logos with impenetrable digital borders, extreme survivalism, and carbon-heavy shadow infrastructures.
Let's start with the perspective of the transformation economy, because, this is where the pivot is most obvious. What we are seeing in 2026 is a massive transfer of consumption.
The move away from just buying stuff.
Right. The global elite are actively moving away from the mere accumulation of physical goods. It's no longer about, buying the fourth mansion or a garage full of sports cars.
They're bored of that.
They are. They're pivoting toward life-changing experiences. This represents a true maturation of wealth. It's no longer about showing people what you can buy. It's about demonstrating who you are becoming.
But how much of that is genuine transformation versus just, the latest trend in high-end spending?
It's fundamental to the infrastructure of luxury itself now. The new pillars of the luxury market are belonging, purpose, and wellness. Look at how legacy institutions are completely upending their business models.
Give me an example.
Take Tramp Health in London. Historically, this was a private members club known entirely for unforgettable nights of excess. But today, they have completely reinvented themselves.
Right, the shift to wellness.
Exactly. They've shifted to meaningful mornings. We're talking preventative health protocols, biometric testing, hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and performance diagnostics.
Is quite the pivot from a nightclub.
Huge pivot. Or look at the Discover collection in Oman. They aren't offering standard resort pampering anymore. Nobody wants a generic massage.
Yeah, a massage is too basic now.
Right. They offer membership-led access to active marine biologists and geologists. The value proposition is no longer passive luxury. It is intellectual and physical transformation. The wealth is being deployed to improve the self and engage deeply with the world.
Well, I come at it from a different way. What you're calling a maturation of wealth is actually just a forced adaptation.
A forced adaptation? How so?
It's a reaction to the democratization of traditional luxury. Think about the global supply chain over the last 20 years. Because the global middle class can now access designer goods or entry-level luxury cars and five-star resorts.
The elite have to move the goalposts.
Exactly. The global elite have to find entirely new ways to separate themselves. You can't use a monogrammed bag to signal status when everyone on the street has one, or, at least a very good replica.
Fair point.
So they pivot to what sociologists call epistemological rarity.
Rarity based on knowledge.
Right. It's status that is legible only to those who are already in the know. It operates like a high-stakes secret handshake. We see this in the aesthetic of quiet luxury.
Oh, where a $10,000 coat has absolutely no branding.
Exactly. But it's instantly recognizable to another billionaire because of the precise cut of the collar or the specific vicuña wool used. We see it in the rise of these hyper-segmented invite-only environments you just mentioned.
But that's still a shift toward quality over flash.
Wealth hasn't become more noble. It has just become less visible to the average person. It is no longer about what you show. It is about the invisible barriers you erect to keep others out. The transformation economy is just the old exclusion economy with better public relations.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective, especially when we look at how this plays out geographically.
Okay, where are we going with this?
The concept of presence over residence, this is central to the shift. We are witnessing the rise of the nomadic elite. Frictionless technology allows billionaires to be entirely footloose now.
Right, they aren't tied down.
Exactly. They are no longer tethered to massive, static estates. Instead, we see the trend of turnkey bolt holes in global hubs like London, Miami, Dubai.
Yeah, the dip-in, dip-out lifestyle.
Precisely. A principal might fly in, stay just 3 or 4 days to socialize and deal make, and leave. And everything is perfectly curated upon arrival.
Down to the smallest detail, I'm sure.
Oh, completely. The AI in the residence knows their preferred ambient temperature. Their fridge is stocked with specific local organic produce. Their preferred artwork is literally rotated into the suite before they arrive.
Wow.
Even their mobility has evolved. A modern super yacht now functions as a 6-star hotel equipped with the secure, military-grade communications infrastructure required to run a global enterprise.
A floating office, basically.
Right. Doesn't this hypermobility actually reduce the footprint of the wealthy? Instead of acting like feudal lords hoarding massive empty estates that require constant upkeep, they're operating as floating nodes in a global network. They're consuming only the space they need exactly when they need it.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why.
All right.
Wait, floating nodes. You can't call a 300-foot super yacht burning thousands of gallons of marine diesel a node.
Well, from a real estate perspective,
that idea completely ignores the mechanics of how ultramobility actually operates in reality. You have to look at the talent gurus data on household staff structures.
the data showing the professionalization of the family office.
It's more than just professionalization. It's the militarization of convenience. A nomadic billionaire, someone with a net worth over $1 billion, requires a massive resource-heavy shadow infrastructure to maintain that illusion of frictionless movement.
But that's just logistics.
It is like a theatrical production where the billionaire is the only actor on stage, and the 90 staff members are dressed in black, moving the props in the dark so the star thinks they are doing it all by magic.
90 staff members?
We are talking about a permanent staff of 25 to 90 people per household. They require a multi-layered matrix of regional chiefs of staff, a director of aviation, a full yacht crew, and 24/7 in-house executive protection.
But that infrastructure is largely administrative. It enables their global businesses.
It's incredibly physical. They aren't living lightly. They're just keeping the heavy machinery out of their direct line of sight. Untethering from borders doesn't mean a lighter footprint. It means the footprint is outsourced, highly managed, and incredibly carbon intensive.
I mean, they still own the properties.
Exactly. When a principal touches down in that turnkey bullhole in Monaco, the fridge isn't magically stocked. A team of property managers, security advance teams, and local staff have been maintaining an empty multi-million-dollar asset year-round, keeping the lights on and the security systems running just for those 3 days of occupancy.
Well, that's an interesting point, though I would frame it differently.
because that exact infrastructure you are critiquing is increasingly being directed toward positive ends.
Positive ends like what?
When we pivot to the environmental impact of this wealth, we see a massive surge in what the industry calls regenerative luxury. It is no longer acceptable in elite circles to simply minimize harm or, blindly buy carbon offsets.
Right.
The elite are actively funding the restoration of ecosystems.
Funding ecosystems to offset the guilt of the private jets, perhaps.
But the mechanisms are genuinely transformative. Sonova Resorts and the Prince Albert II Foundation are setting the blueprints for success here.
In what way?
We are seeing luxury properties act as micro-energy grids that actually power the local communities surrounding them. We are seeing AI utilized to map absolute zero-waste supply chains, ensuring every single input and output is tracked and optimized.
Okay, but
These investments are actively restoring marine biodiversity and empowering local populations. The wealth is acting as a rapid response catalyst for environmental regeneration. The local governments are often just too slow or too underfunded to execute.
so they're replacing the government?
They're augmenting it. The expectation of the modern ultra-high net worth individual is that their presence in an environment should leave it measurably healthier than before they arrived.
Yeah, they might fund a coral reef restoration outside the window of their $5,000 a night eco-resort, but you have to contrast those highly visible eco-friendly initiatives with the broader macro data.
What does the macro data say?
The data shows that billionaire investments can emit 1 million times more carbon than the average person. The overarching trend isn't regeneration, it's apocalyptic insulation.
Apocalyptic insulation? That is a very strong phrase. We're talking about wellness and sustainability here.
Are we? Look at the ARI project.
The bunker?
Yes, the $300 million members-only doomsday bunker. It cost $20 million just to secure a membership. And what does that buy you?
Peace of mind, supposedly.
It buys you access to SIFE-compliant environments, sensitive compartmented information facilities, so you can securely run your global empire during the collapse of civilization.
Well, if civilization collapses,
It buys you access to MediaShield AI-powered medical suites, where autonomous robots deliver intensive care without needing human doctors. It even features fake skyline pools built 20 stories underground.
wait, fix skyline pools?
Yes, high-definition wraparound LED screens mimicking the sunset over a pristine ocean, so the elite don't have to look at dirt while they wait out a disaster. This isn't regenerative, it is survivalism for the 1%.
That is definitely an extreme example.
And it extends right down to their own bodies. Look at tech billionaire Brian Johnson's $2 million per year biohacking routine.
Oh, the longevity protocol.
Right? He logs every calorie, takes 40 supplements a day, sleeps in hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and runs a 5-hour morning routine of precise diagnostic testing.
But Brian Johnson explicitly frames his protocol as an open-source scientific crusade. It is a living laboratory meant to push the boundaries of human potential in longevity science.
So he claims?
The results of that extreme testing will eventually scale down to the broader public. He is essentially doing the beta testing for human longevity.
It's not just about open source health, though. It's about conquering the final frontier. In a world where they can buy private islands, turnkey bolt holes, and politicians, mortality is the absolute last boundary money hasn't been able to completely erase.
It is the ultimate limit.
Exactly. Biohacking is the ultimate flex because you are literally buying time. It is a hyper-personalized obsession with extending the self, preserving the self, and insulating the self from the natural decay of the world, rather than fundamentally helping the world.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because it ignores how this demand for unique, highly optimized experiences is radically reshaping everyday elite consumption, particularly in retail and urban development.
Okay, how so?
Let's look at the end of what experts call identikit luxury.
Meaning the identical luxury stores in every major global city.
Exactly. For decades, luxury strategy was just geographic replication. But now, the wealthy are entirely rejecting the déjà vu of walking into an interchangeable store whether they are in Paris, Tokyo, or New York.
Right. They want something unique.
They are demanding cultural relevance and localized narrative. Look at what Louis Vuitton recently built in Shanghai, a unique, ship-like storytelling architectural marvel that integrates local design philosophies.
I saw that. It's impressive.
Doesn't this hyper-segmentation force massive corporations to finally respect local culture and invest in true architectural storytelling rather than steamrolling global cities with identical soulless storefronts?
That's a compelling argument. But have you considered the Wharton research on the exclusivity paradox?
The paradox being?
Yes, the physical storefronts might look more culturally integrated and architecturally pleasing, but that is a distraction from where the real walls are being built. The Wharton study highlights that digital transformation has not democratized top-tier luxury, it has weaponized it.
Weaponized it? How exactly? By making it available online?
No, by making it invisible online.
Invisible?
Think about it. If you're listening to this and you've ever been frustrated by algorithmic waitlists just to buy concert tickets, imagine that same gatekeeping applied to everything you consume.
Ah, I see.
The paradox is that as luxury brands expand their global e-commerce footprint to capture the aspiring middle class, selling sunglasses and perfumes, they simultaneously have to build entirely new invisible digital walls to keep their top-tier spenders feeling special.
Right, to protect the brand equity.
This is the era of algorithmic gatekeeping and relationship-based accessibility.
Give me an example of how that practically works.
You can't just walk into a store or log onto a website with money and buy a top-tier Hermes bag.
That's been true for a while.
But now, you have to have an AI-orchestrated purchase history. The algorithms track your spending across the brand's entire ecosystem, your attendance at their private events, your engagement with their digital platforms.
And if you don't meet the criteria?
If you don't meet the algorithmic threshold, the highest tier items literally do not populate on your screen. They don't exist for you. The physical stores might have nice local architecture, but the digital walls are higher, thicker, and more impenetrable than ever before. The brand maintains an aura of mystery through pure data stratification.
But that algorithmic gatekeeping, as you call it, is exactly what allows these brands to offer the hyper-personalization that the modern consumer demands.
So it's a feature, not a bug?
Exactly. It's not a malicious plot to keep people out. It's an operational necessity to curate a deeply resonant experience for the people inside.
The transformation economy relies on knowing the consumer so well that you can offer them precisely what they need for their personal growth.
But personal growth curated by a luxury brand's algorithm is just consumption disguised as therapy.
Not necessarily. The Wharton research maps strategic objectives to attributes like experience curation and selective engagement. When a brand knows your preferences, your health metrics, and your travel patterns through these digital ecosystems, they can invite you to a private symposium on marine biology in Oman or a bespoke wellness retreat in the Alps. It still sounds incredibly exclusive.
The exclusivity serves a purpose beyond just status. It facilitates a high-trust, intimate environment where genuine transformation can occur. If these experiences were broadcast to the mass market, the intimacy, the safety, and the depth of the engagement would be entirely lost.
Safety? Come on. The mechanism of that high-trust environment is just pure financial stratification.
I think that's a little cynical.
Let's look closely at how the superyacht industry is evolving right now, because it perfectly encapsulates this retreat from the public square. As we established, a superyacht isn't just a boat anymore. It's a mobile sovereign territory.
Right.
But look at where they are navigating. We are seeing massive investments in new marina infrastructure in isolated places like the Red Sea, or the push to open up Indonesia's 17,000 islands to foreign-flagged vessels.
Which distributes tourism capital to new developing economies.
But they aren't going to these places to engage deeply with the local culture in a transformative way. They are going there because the traditional Mediterranean circuits, Monaco, Saint-Tropez, Amalfi, are becoming too crowded with other wealthy people.
They're seeking privacy.
It is a constant, endless retreat into isolation. They want untouched vistas, but they want them viewed from behind triple-glazed glass on a climate-controlled deck, eating food prepared by a private chef while relying on a dedicated high-speed internet uplink to their family office.
Again, you're painting a very specific picture.
It is the ultimate expression of consuming an environment without ever having to actually exist within it.
Their lives.
How is privacy an operational requirement?
Let's go back to the Knight Frank reporting on why Monaco remains such an unparalleled sanctuary. Yes, the tax advantages are obvious. We all know that.
And zero income tax is a huge draw.
Of course. But the driving forces keeping the elite anchored there are security, world-class healthcare, and political stability. When you are managing billions of dollars of capital that builds infrastructure, funds research, and employs thousands of people globally, privacy is not a luxury, it is an operational requirement.
Right.
The shift toward turnkey managed residences and private members clubs is fundamentally about cognitive efficiency. These individuals are incredibly time poor.
Time poor is a fascinating phrase for people who possess more liquid resources than many small nations.
But it's true. The infrastructure they surround themselves with, whether it's a chief of staff or an AI concierge at the Chatrium Grand in Bangkok, is designed to eliminate friction so they can focus their cognitive load on high-level decision-making.
Okay, let's follow your logic. A modern family office isn't just an accountant in a back room anymore.
No, not at all.
It's a multi-hub intelligence agency. You've got a legal team in London tracking tax law, a procurement team in Dubai securing real estate, and a risk management AI tracking climate patterns to decide where the principal should spend August.
Exactly. It's highly sophisticated management.
Yes, it eliminates friction, but it also entirely insulates the principal from the consequences of the real world.
In what way?
If a jurisdiction raises taxes to fund public transit, they don't stay and negotiate the social contract. They trigger the dip-in, dip-out lifestyle and move their capital to Milan or Dubai overnight.
Capital flight is always a risk.
And if the climate degrades and the Mediterranean becomes unbearably hot, they don't suffer the heat. They buy a $20 million bunker membership or seamlessly move their yacht to a climate-resilient altitude in Northern Europe.
They adapt.
But the immense danger of this hypermobility is that it completely severs the bond between the wealthy and the civic fabric of the cities they inhabit. They become floating citizens of nowhere, extracting the cultural and financial benefits of a city like London on a Tuesday and leaving before the weekend. They contribute nothing to the local tax base that maintains the streets their armored SUVs just drove down.
See, that perspective ignores the very real, immediate capital they inject into these economies just by operating.
Beyond taxes?
Yes. When a family office opens a hub in a new city, or when a principal utilizes a turnkey residence, they are employing top-tier local talent, utilizing local legal and financial services, and driving high-end domestic consumption.
But is that enough?
Furthermore, the regenerative trend we discussed earlier is specifically designed to reconnect wealth to local ecosystems, not sever it. Look at the humanistic capitalism championed by brands like Brunello Cucinelli.
Right, the cashmere brand.
He literally restored an entire medieval village in Umbria and pays his craftsmen wages well above the industry average. It shows that the elite are increasingly demanding that their consumption funds ethical, socially responsible supply chains.
It's beautiful, I agree, but it's a drop in the ocean compared to the shadow infrastructure.
But it sets the benchmark. The transformation economy, despite its extremes, represents a highly positive macro shift. We are moving away from the hollow, destructive material accumulation of the 20th century. Wealth is finally prioritizing purpose, preventative health, and environmental regeneration. That is a profound, optimistic evolution in how capital interacts with the world.
And yet, whether it is an underground bunker equipped with AI surgeons, an invite-only digital community gated by algorithms, or a $2 million a year biohacking routine.
Yes?
The fundamental mechanism of elite wealth remains exactly the same as it has always been. It is about asserting status through inaccessibility. It is about resource-intensive exclusivity. The only thing that has actually changed is the aesthetic.
You really think nothing has changed?
The medieval drawbridge isn't gone. It has just been digitized into an algorithmic purchase history. The stone walls haven't vanished. They've been relocated to the blockchain, to exclusive private aviation routes, and to the invisible shadow infrastructures of household staff.
That's a very stark view.
The elite have simply realized that in a world where anyone can finance a luxury watch, The only true luxury left is the ability to completely separate yourself from the masses.
Well, as we draw this debate to a close, we have to look at what the 2026 data ultimately reveals about the human condition at this level of extreme wealth.
Right.
Regardless of whether you view this shift as a genuine pursuit of purpose, as I do, or a sophisticated new fortress of exclusion, as you do, both sides of this data point to a shared, unavoidable realization among the global elite.
Which is?
True status is no longer defined by what you own. It is defined entirely by how you live and the impact you have.
Exactly. Because when you strip away the branding, whether a billionaire is spending their wealth suspended in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, trying to reverse their biological age, or, funding a team of marine biologists to restore a reef outside their eco-resort in Oman,
They are ultimately chasing the exact same thing.
they're trying to buy time.
Time remains the ultimate luxury. It is the one single resource that, no matter how sophisticated the family office, no matter how advanced the AI medical suite, and no matter how frictionless the global mobility, once lost, can never be recovered.
That is absolutely true.
Which brings us back to that invisible medieval castle we started with. The walls may be made of algorithms now instead of stone, and the moat may be an ocean crossed by a private jet rather than a ditch filled with water.
But the defense mechanisms are still there.
But perhaps the most profound shift is what they are guarding inside. It's no longer chests of gold or vaults of art. They are guarding their time, their health, and their peace of mind.
Well said.
And that leaves us with a lingering question to consider. If the ultimate luxury is simply the freedom to live well and with purpose, is the fortress keeping the world out, or is it trapping the inhabitants inside?
That's the real question.
There is so much more to explore in this material, but we will leave it up to you to decide where the real boundaries lie. Thank you for joining us.